Welcome back to the Your Invisible Advantage podcast. It's me, T, and we're back with another amazing, exciting guest today, Erin May Henry. Welcome to the studio.
Don't knock the microphone, but get excited. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited to have you here. This was a bit of a last minute, can you get yourself into the studio vibe? She was on my list for later in the year, but we're making it happen right before I go overseas. So I'm so excited for this conversation. I want to talk today all about becoming the coolest person you know, which is obviously your whole entire philosophy, ethos, everything that you do. Before we get into it though, before we give all the juice, the value, I need people to know, summed up, who are you? What do you do? Obviously, everyone probably already knows you because if you follow me, you've probably follow you. Like I feel like we're in the same industry, same kind of thing. So I feel like people will already be following you, but in case they're not, spill.
It's so funny. This is my least favorite question. I will say only because in it being my least favorite question tells you exactly who I am, because my thing is that I'm someone who's super multi-passionate, creative, ADHD. So the reason why that question is so challenging for me is because I evolve so often and change my mind so often and transform so often that really, depending on the day, I answer it differently. So by the time this episode comes out, this answer might change. But just the kind of summary. So Erin May Henry, I really see myself first and foremost as a creative, online creating on the internet. That's how my whole journey started. I started as a YouTube content creator. And I've been doing my online business thing for over a decade now. I can't believe that. It sounds like such a long time.
I started so long ago as well. And when you say it, you're like, how has it been that long?
How has it been long?
And I'm like, I'm not that old.
I'm a baby.
What?
Like, I'm still just a child. How have I had a 10-year internet career?
What do you mean?
Actually, mine's longer. Mine's 12. I started YouTube technically in 2014. So, but then coaching and the business stuff, 2017. So long ass time. But yeah, so I started as a content creator. I really do see that as like the through line of everything that I've ever done. Personal branding, content creation, specifically video content. Now where I'm at, I've had a long journey, many different pivots, side quests, tangents that I've gone on, curious creative projects. But predominantly for the most part, I have been a business mentor, really helping like myself, multi-passionate, creative, often neurodivergent people to build a personal brand online. I also do have a creative agency as well. For the last 2 years, I've primarily been working on that, where we do all kinds of work, everything from like brand shoots to productions to whatever anyone needs, really. Exciting projects. Our ethos with most of what we do is we just want to make cool shit with cool people.
I love that. And it's so simple, but it's something that so many people overcomplicate for themselves, right? And they put so many rules and structures and everything in place, which we will get to. But I want to hear about, so you started on YouTube in 2014, you said, and then you got into the coaching, mentoring space, maybe 2016, 17, roughly. So how did that evolve over time, like with social media? Because YouTube it used to be the absolute like biggest thing. Yeah. And then Instagram came in, and then obviously you've had to evolve and pivot with social media over the times. So has that been like a natural progression for you where you've kind of just moved platforms? Are you still on? I think you're still on YouTube, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Yeah. So like, how has that gone, that journey?
I mean, I feel really blessed at this point to have seen so many different iterations of like what the thing is on the internet, because it has allowed me to be a little bit more dynamic, especially with myself having changed careers and then come back. So I did, like I said, go off and build a creative agency, and now I'm back doing mentorship, which is where I started. But having so much experience in like being, I guess, online for so long, yes, I've basically been on every single platform, done all of the things. But what I've really found, and I've actually created like a methodology around this, is it's less about what is the trending platform, what is the focus, and more about who you are as a creator. So I think when we know our true creative talent, our expertise, the type of content creation that is best suited to our natural charisma and our personality, that's how you evolve with social media. I know hands down I am a speaker. Like I can yap until the cows come home. Like I can talk. That is like a superpower of mine. It always has been. I started on YouTube just doing talking videos. I have a podcast on Instagram, like all of these platforms. It is just me for the most part talking. And so when it comes time that, let's say, like, because Facebook used to be huge as well. Yes, YouTube is I think it's gone through its ups and downs. I absolutely think YouTube is on the rise again.
Yeah,
is in like that. As an antidote to short form content, which people are getting sick of, but also AI content. YouTube is definitely back on the rise. But it's been like that. It's like this one goes up, that one goes down. You know, it always shifts and changes. And I think content creators and personal brands should learn to be dynamic. But more than that, they should learn how to build a transferable skill as a content creator, knowing what your skill is and how you can then apply that to whichever platform you need to be on at whichever time of your career. Because the other thing is as well, what I see a lot of people doing is like, because there's so much scarcity content out there. It's like Instagram's dying, TikTok's, it's all contradictory and for the most part not true anyway. But it's this like fear-mongering panic content that a lot of people create. And then a lot of personal brands and creators get really fearful that like, oh, I've got to shift, I've got to change, I've got to pivot, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But it's like when you know what your creative skill is, what makes you the most magnetic, you can be a little calmer in the process and actually just adapt and change with what's best suited for you and for your business.
Yeah, I love that. And you've followed platforms that really allow you to shine and really allow you to be in that speaker archetype. Yeah. So it's like, if someone was a writer and then they have so much resistance to showing up doing long form content on a podcast, it's like, hey, well, like who said you have to do
just
a podcast?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do
it.
Like
Substack is over here. Like, what are you doing, So I think people get themselves in that box a lot of the time with social media. So this is one thing like you and I both do very similarly where we'll work with the person and find that. So how does someone find what type of social media platform they would best be suited for? Like how do you take people through that process? Obviously not the whole thing. Like if they want it, just go hire you. But like, basic outline of how would people know, am I suited for podcast? Am I suited for Instagram? Or, if they're trying to push shit up a hill essentially.
Yeah, it's such a good question. And honestly, this is like one of the biggest things that I try to do with my work because I feel like so many people go to the external first when they're starting to think about their strategy. What's everybody else doing? What's that coach that I like saying I should be doing? What's the gurus on social media saying I should be doing? But the first place we really need to be starting is with self-awareness. People need to get to know themselves. One of my clients, she has this saying where it's you can get paid to be you as long as you know who you are. Yeah, and every single time I hear that, I'm like, oh, it's so profoundly true because those who are really thriving, not just in entrepreneurship, but in like the creator economy at large, are generally the ones that are so tapped into their authenticity. They're not playing by the rules. I can give hundreds of examples of people who've built like million plus followings just by doing like breaking every social media rule that, all the current gurus are telling you that you absolutely have to do, otherwise you'll fail, right? But it's really the self-awareness piece that's so important. You have to get to know yourself first. And the things to really focus on is obviously, what do you like? Like that's the first thing. It's like, it seems like such a simple question, but I cannot tell you how many people don't ask themselves this question. Like genuinely, if you gave yourself permission to just do the things that you enjoy, what would that be? Exactly like you just said, if someone really loves to write, why are you telling yourself that you have to then sit down in front of a camera and speak? If you can't do it, you hate it, makes you want to cry, it makes you want to pull your hair out, then why are you doing that? Because someone told you to do it.
Yeah.
What do you genuinely like? And then the second thing to that is, what are you good at? This is a really difficult question for a lot of people to answer because we aren't self-reflective in this way. This is why I have the Becoming the Coolest Person You Know philosophy, because I want to teach people the skill of self-idolization and recognizing within yourself what your natural talents and skills are. Because then from there, you can actually start to be discerning with, oh, okay, so if I'm this type of person, I have these skills and I like these things, then who can I follow that I can actually start to learn from that is similar to me? So maybe it is a writer that you see on Instagram writing their poetry and creating reels where it's nice soft music in the background with a write-up. It's not a yap. It's not this aggressive like hook, cut, tip advice. Writers are out there writing. Speakers are out there speaking. Artists are out there creating art. And the biggest piece of advice I would give, and this is kind of shooting myself in the foot because for somewhat I teach people personal brand and content creation, but I don't think if you are trying to build a personal brand, you should be following those who like just teach platform-specific content creation because they have very specific blueprints. And it generally is what is like trending and working and like what's the thing at the moment. But really, if you want to learn social media, learn from the people who are like you. Like go out and find the people who create in a way similar. You know, for you, obviously, you're incredible at doing these podcast episodes. Like you should be learning from those who have the top interview podcasts, not the people that are teaching you podcasting, you know?
Yeah.
Like you learn by seeing people in their element, in their magnetism, in their own charisma, and all the little nuances and things that they do, and then apply that to what is personal for you.
I freaking love that. There's like 10 different questions I have within that. I'm like, which one do I go with first? I feel like, yeah, what you said is so important. It's like everyone's learning from people with strategies, but they're not looking at, you know, why not learn from the soul?
Yeah.
Why not learn from the actual human doing it, not like a strategy they implemented? Because I bet if you look at you, if you look at me, if you look at anyone who is actually doing the things that you want to do, none of them got there today by some type of strategy. Like consciously.
Yeah.
It was they followed the spark, they followed the aliveness, they followed what they were naturally gifted at and good at, and how their skills best transferred to obviously like help other people. And then they built from that. And then they got the result and they were like, well, let's reverse this to teach other people. But it never really works like that. It's like you do have to help that other person tap into like what their genius is, how they operate the best.
Which is a hard thing to do. And honestly,
100%.
that's why a lot of coaches, and I know you and I both have obviously had experience in the coaching industry and all of this kind of stuff. And there was an era there where we lost a lot of like great voices, or a lot of people had negative experiences because the coaching industry became so like manufactured in a way that people, exactly, they would create success for themselves, only knowing how they created for themselves, not really having broad awareness of different personality types, different industries, different options even within the industry. They just know what worked for them. And so then they built a business teaching that to other people. And then those people only learned in that way. And then, I mean, this is why people say the coaching industry is a pyramid, only because of like that. Like, I don't believe that. But I do see why people say that, because there is like one person teaching the two people who teach the four people like the very similar way.
Yeah. And then everyone looks the same.
And then
it's like, well, where did creator in, like, where's the creative in the creator?
Yeah.
Like there is none. It's like everyone's just doing the same thing. And it's so funny because everyone who looks for the strategy, I'm sure you've seen this, is like none of them are growing. None of them are having fun. None of them feel alive. It's not working.
Yeah.
But they still keep chasing it because there's something that we're sold of like, no, that's the answer because that person's successful.
Yeah.
But it's like that person's successful probably because they followed their own path. And sure, they can help and guide you, but it's not going to be to follow their path. It's going to be to find your own along their side.
I have this thing, like a analogy that I like to use from this is I personally believe we all have our own, like somewhat of a combination lock, you know, like you think about a lock with all these little dials on it. And you think of all the little dials as different aspects. So whether that's the type of content create, the niche that you choose, the, as I would call it, the personal points of difference you bring into personal brand, like all these little things, right? And it's like your journey in entrepreneurship, as they say, entrepreneurship is the ultimate personal development journey. But your journey is to essentially figure out how to best align all of those dials to unlock your own special combination. You know, and that's exactly what you're saying. Like a lot of people were going out just giving their combination to everyone, and people aren't trying to unlock it, being like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Because it takes time. It takes time to truly get to know yourself. And it genuinely only happens through trial and error. Like no coach is going to be able to give you the perfect formula. You have to go on a soul searching journey for yourself to learn all of the different things that are going to work for you specifically.
Yeah, I love that. And something you said earlier was around how, I guess, like with the different types of content that there is and how you have to be dynamic and like be able to change and pivot. And that I think that's something that people don't really give themselves permission to do with content and with social media. And they think that, well, because, and trust me, I've been through my own phase of this where it's like I got very caught up in you have to show up this way. And I completely felt like I hate the word lost myself, but like for the outside world, that's what I felt like, if, you know, put it into words. But just feeling like I lost that lack of confidence for how I built my page was being fully fucking authentic. And then I came into a world where it was like, oh, but you've got to do it this way as a business coach, as a this. And I was like, oh shit, I'm doing it wrong. So then I like started to change how I would do it. And then I was like, oh, I realized I don't really like that. I don't really enjoy that. And then when I wanted to come out of that, that's when I hired Haley, which was back in 2023. I hired Haley and I was like, I need help.
Help me.
I was like,
Me to
help.
Haley every day. Help me.
I was like, I'm crumbling. And I was just like, like, I feel like I don't know myself anymore. Like I have to kind of tap back into trusting myself with creation. And I did so well. And then it was like, that was all just destroyed because I got told this is the only way to do it. But it wasn't that industry or person or whatever's fault. It was like, why did I feel like I had to listen? Because we're so susceptible to believing everything we see. And even the most self-aware person, like I was shocked that it happened to me. Trust me when I say like, what the fuck? How did that happen?
But I think sometimes as well, like we have to go on those journeys because I'm sure the amount of people that you're going to be able to guide in the future because of having that experience, like my story is very much the same where, as I started this podcast episode saying like, I have ADHD, I'm creative, I am multi-passionate, like I love to, you've met me like 3 times in person now and I've worn completely different style each time, right? Like I just love to shapeshift and evolve and like metamorphosis is like my middle name at this point and I love that. But I let similarly, being that that's kind of like the natural person that I am and yet being that online and getting so much feedback and so much hate from it, like there's actual Reddit threads of people saying like I'm inauthentic from like changing my mind so often and
which
pivoting.
We're going to talk about in a little bit. Yes.
But like same thing, like I went through somewhat of an identity struggle around that because I felt like it was wrong. Like this natural part of me and my unique magic, the thing that I built my business off of, somewhere along the way, I started to believe that it was wrong. I started to believe that it would just be easier if I just had one thing, one style, never changed my brand, never changed my mind, and just did the thing, especially going off and starting a whole new other business and all the challenges that come with, running an in-person business. And it's so different and just normal life stuff. But I convinced myself it was because I changed my mind all the time. And it's only been coming back into Chillpreneur now and rebuilding this that I have been able to fully claim that I am so multi-passionate. And now I'm actually starting to see like, maybe this is my mission. Like maybe my mission is to help people that change and evolve and pivot and who are hyper creative, find focus, in not denying their creativity, but in a world that, focus is obviously necessary.
Yeah. And I think, when I kind of like, in quotes, lost myself, which like nothing was lost, I just chose like, hey, I'm not allowed to be that, So I suppressed those parts. And then now I notice for the last few years, I've been really working on trying to like build that authenticity back. And when I say build it back, I also mean like strip away all the shit that kind of came in. And I still notice myself to this day, I'll post something and I'm like, oh, nothing to do with my business. And I have to actively pull myself up on it and be like, shut the fuck up, Tayla. Like, are you actually kidding me? It's your personal brand. You can talk about whatever you want. And I teach it, and it doesn't mean that we don't have those human moments of letting that come up. But I feel like so many people would have so much trouble with that, is like evolving and letting themselves evolve. And I had like 2 different titles for this podcast. One of them was like becoming the coolest person you know. And the second one, which you just kind of mentioned, was also reinventing yourself in public.
Yeah.
Right? Because like it's so easy to do behind the scenes. Like no one fucking knows you're doing it. But like when you are on social media building a personal brand, especially as a creative, like I always refer to like musicians are my like muse that I look at and I love them.
Like the queen of reinvention.
I love it. MGK is like who I love.
Yeah.
And like it literally stands for multi-genre king.
Yeah.
Like and he's like, you can't fucking cage me. And I'm just like, I'm obsessed. Like I'm obsessed and I'm like, I want that for myself. And it's been that deconditioning process to come back from that. So for you, when you help people with this, how have you kind of navigated it? I'm trying to figure out how to word this. How have you navigated it internally while also reinventing yourself at the same time? Like how do you support clients through it when you're also doing it in real time?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's such a thing. No one fucking talks about that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you can't until you come out, which I think is bullshit, firstly.
Yeah.
Because we're always evolving. But yeah, like do you feel like it actually connects you deeper to your clients because you're literally also going through it not at the same time. You're like steps ahead, but you get what I mean.
For sure. And I think this is something that I have really learnt this time around with building Chillpreneur. So just to bring context, obviously I had Chillpreneur before, went and built my creative agency. I'm now back building Chillpreneur with obviously a lot more knowledge about all different types of business structures. But when I refer to building Chillpreneur, this second time, because I took a step back from it, I came in with a lot of self-doubt, of being like, and it probably is the ADHD, like really focused on only the here and now. But I had a lot of imposter syndrome. Even though now I have more experience, I was doing freaking commercial productions, for God's sake, like, managing huge production teams. Like, I am way more experienced than I was last time. But because I had like somewhat lost my social media engagement and wasn't making the same amount of money I was before, because totally different type of business, right? I came back in and I had a lot of like fear and imposter syndrome around like, exactly, like, can I even help people? Can I even coach people? And I actually realized, well, the only thing I can do at this stage is bring people along the journey. So it's been somewhat establishing my relationship with the whole, I don't even want to call it like build in public, because like that's a totally different like content style, but like bringing people along the journey and like being vulnerable.
Like evolving in public,
and evolving. But funnily enough, like a lot of the people that I am working with in my, like, so I have a membership called the Chillpreneur Club, and my one-on-one clients are actually loving it, because the other side of that is then I also had to shift my perspective on my own story. I have to really like consciously do a lot of work to connect with the fact of like everything I have done over the last decade and realize that that hasn't gone away. So when these people come into my world, like, yes, I feel like I'm building alongside of them and they are loving that. They're also still seeing that I built a multi-million-dollar, like, coaching business and have done overseas productions, and they see all of that, right? So I had to see that within myself so I could simultaneously feel like I could evolve and shift and change and like be alongside my clients as I'm taking them through, whilst also recognizing everything that I've done,
Yeah, and I feel like they would look at that and just you would be such permission to them. Like, you've given me a lot of permission that you can evolve in public, and I'm a very confident person, and then even still it's like one little thing shakes your confidence and then all of a sudden you question all of your experience and you're like, holy fuck, like, can I actually do this? But it's like, of course you can. You just have to learn, like, and I mean, like, how do you go through that? Talk about the Reddit thread. I want to hear about that. Like, I think if you've made it, if you have a Reddit thread.
The Reddit thread's not even the worst one. The Reddit thread's funny. It's just like, she was doing fitness and business and now she's doing that.
Who has time to do that? Okay.
But it's basically, it's just like, all the insecurities that I had about shifting, evolving and changing. It's just that written up by a bunch of strangers online. That's not the worst one. The worst ones are the people who take the time to write you like a 3-page long novel of an email questioning your mental health and whether you're okay and all of this kind of stuff. Like, people really,
oh my gosh,
or like long comments on my YouTube about, someone commented recently, which is really funny because it motivated me actually, because I talked about like how I'm starting skateboarding, because one of my things is hobbies as well. That's a big part of becoming the coolest person. It's a big part of how I build confidence. We can definitely talk about that. But I do shift my hobbies a lot as well, try a lot of things. And I talked about in a YouTube video that I was starting skateboarding, and this person was so angry. They're like, how can you call yourself a skater when you never skate? And you were like, making all this money, and then you think you're a Muay Thai fighter, and then you're this, that, and the other. And I was like, God damn. Of course, that motivated me. I went out and skateboarded every single day.
I love it. Motivation.
But, it is like, what I really realized with all of that anyway, is that I think for a lot of people, seeing someone so passionately and freely explore so many different things can be really triggering. It can be really hard when you haven't given permission to yourself to evolve and change. And this is particularly true for so many women. Women stay in relationships, jobs, situations way longer that don't suit them, that aren't supportive of like them thriving in their life. And I think when we get ourselves into those positions, seeing someone else so freely just malleably move through their life and shift and change can be really triggering. And so I understand that. That's like the higher conscious self of me being like, I understand why people are triggered by this, but
well, it feels unfair to give permission for someone else to evolve if we don't allow ourselves, right? So then we have to get that out essentially by like sending those long things. But all I see that is like, it's not about you. It's more so, okay, cool. Like, they probably really want some level of that themselves, and like that's their way of getting connection is by like reaching out. And it might not seem like it because to you it's like that's hate. But yeah, it's like cool that you can see it that way of like that's not actually like about me. I'm not going to stop like being me because other people are having that.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I have one experience with a client who's kind of like really healed this whole situation for me, where they actually communicated to me that the reason why they hired me was exactly that. So like because they were feeling so triggered by my confidence, my becoming the coolest person I know, having all these hobbies, living this life, and like they just were not giving themselves permission. They were very much like, I have to build my business, I have to focus, and that's all I have. Put a lot of like their identity into their building their business. And still to this day, they actually now have like quite a few hobbies and like, you know, are really feeling free and multidimensional in their life and constantly tell me like, if it wasn't working with you. And so I think anyone who obviously has opposition to whatever they are showing up as online, you have to really hold on to the people's experiences who do get to shift from being in that triggered space into actually giving themselves permission to do whatever it is. For me, obviously, it's being evolving and shifting and living in this way, but it might be expressing yourself more sexually. It might be going out and speak, like whatever it is, whatever your thing is that you're teaching people how to do. It's not bad that you're triggering people. Like the goal is that hopefully people just come along the journey, and if they don't, that's not your job.
Yeah, and I think like creatives, they do, you know, you're building a personal brand online, you're posting content, you're building a social media following. It's like people do kind of feel indebted to be the way they've always been. So it's like what I really love about you, and that was like why I wanted to have you on, is because I think you are such a great inspiration for people of like you can evolve in public, you can showcase that in public. You don't need like, yes, people will talk about it, but that's like what people do in general. Like if you're not being talked about, you're not really doing anything. Like
they're going to talk about you regardless. Not about being for something you enjoy.
Like if you're going to be the coolest version of yourself and like be doing cool shit, of course people, you know, that can be triggering for some people where it's like for whatever reason, we don't even need to know. You know, it's just like, you know, that becoming the coolest version of you is, or like the coolest person you know, that in its essence is like the most authentic version of you. Essentially, you're just saying it in a different way. Would you say that? Like that's what it kind of means?
100%. Like even when it's, you know, obviously I was very intentional about this philosophy, and even though it came like quite naturally in the way that I speak, because I do use the word cool a lot, but as it's evolved over the years, you know, cool in and of itself is kind of like a rebellious act. Because I love this quote. I can't remember who it's from. It's in this book that we have on our coffee table. It's like, cool is never trendy. You know, cool to me is genuinely the most authentic self-expression that you can possibly stand into in your life, right? When you can fully tap into the thing that is most authentically you, that is when you become the coolest person you know. It's not about trends. It's not about, you know, what's popular on social media. It's not about building your personal brand in a way. Like when I see something and I say, oh my gosh, that's so cool, it is always that energy that you feel when someone is fully expressing themselves. But again, with full radical self-expression and authenticity, it's always going to be two sides. There's going to be the people who absolutely love you for it and the people who absolutely hate you for it. That's why most people stay safe in the middle. They don't fully go into self-expression because it's safer. It's safer to not be talked about on either side. But if you are choosing to build a personal brand, if you are choosing to build a business, essentially, those who truly prevail are the ones that have the courage to step into the fullest version of themselves. The ones that succeed are the ones, you know, as we were even talking about before, why most people fail trying to implement other people's strategies is because I truly do believe that the key to success is this, and for lack of a better term, this raw authenticity, right? Because authenticity is such an overused word.
I know, but like it's
what even do you say?
It's such a good word, but like we can't use another word because that's the word.
I know. I mean, I love the word sincerity as well, but it just doesn't slap as hard.
Yeah.
But it is like, that's like the key to success. It's really goddamn scary. And that's why becoming the coolest person you know goes hand in hand with building a personal brand and all of the things that I'm trying to do here, because I believe that's what has to come first. I believe we have to build the courage to become the coolest person we know, to get it, to know ourselves in that way, to idolize ourselves, dare I say, and then to build everything off the back of that.
Yeah, we have very similar like philosophies with how we do things, which is like why I just love you and like vibe with everything you do, because for me, I'm like someone who has the courage to do that, someone who has the courage to just own their wants, own their desires, own like everything about who they are. That to me is a fucking authority. And I feel like there's so much stuff in the online space. Oh, build a personal brand. You need to be an authority. You want high level clients. You want to be premium. You want to show up this way. Don't share too much. Don't do this. And it's like people are telling people how to do authenticity, but you can't do authenticity. Like there's no doing. It's, hey, what haven't I owned in myself yet that someone else could use against me?
Yeah.
How do I own that in myself? That's what cool is. Cool is when you see someone and you're like, holy shit, look at Justin sitting behind the computer over there with his glasses on, with his hat and his style, and he just looks fucking cool.
He looks very
but
cool.
It's like, thanks. But it's like, you were just the only example I had. But it's like, you know, like that's just cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, because he's not trying to be something that he thinks he has to be. He's just like, that's what he wants to wear. That looks fucking cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, you just tell because he's not trying to impress someone like that. And that's what you show up online. You're not trying to impress people. You're not trying to make people understand you. Yeah. And I think like that's an authority.
For sure. And there's nothing cooler than someone who's having fun.
Yeah.
And I think the way to have more fun is to just like let go of all the pressure that you're putting on yourself. Let go of all of the rules. So many people, because I work with so many multi-passionate, as I said, often neurodivergent people, they are also very smart and very creative. What happens, as the paradox of potential says, when we have so many options, when we're highly creative, highly intelligent, a lot of those people end up completely paralyzed. To break through that is you've just got to stop being so influenced, stop listening to what everybody else is doing, and genuinely learn how to follow your gut, if you want to call it that. But like I would say follow fun. Like what the fuck do you just want to do? What do you want to do? What is the most fun thing for you to do? Because I guarantee if people did that and did it consistently, because that's the key, they would be successful. It really is like that simple. And I say simple loosely because it's not simple getting to know yourself in this way. It really isn't. It's a lifelong journey, to be honest. But everyone's making it so complicated, like trying to find, like putting a chokehold on their business, trying to find this perfect strategy, the thing that's going to change their success overnight, that one thing. And that's why they get so hyperfixated on this one coach having this breakthrough and wanting to replicate that success for themselves. But truly the way that's going to get there is actually the way that you're going to enjoy the most. But again, it goes back to that position piece. But you just have to give yourself permission for it to be fun, for it to be aligned, for it to be authentic.
I love it. It's like finding, people are always like, what's my purpose? What's my calling? How am I meant to do this? And it's like the way that you find it is find things you're interested in. What are you so interested in? Go and explore that. Go and have fun. This podcast, I'm interested in human brains.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how your brain works. So I want to have a conversation with you. So I'm following the spark. I'm following the aliveness. And is it right? Is it wrong? Who the fuck knows? And I don't think there is a right and wrong. I think we all just build different versions.
But think about the first person who vlogged. Think about the first person who did sit down and do a podcast interview. They weren't like, what's the rule book? What's the step ladder that I can follow? Anyone who has ever innovated anything, and I still think there is a lot of opportunity for innovation. It might not be as grand as it was back when the internet was starting, but there's still so much opportunity to do things different. And so why do you think that you have to follow somebody else's map perfectly when you could really create your own path? You could really do it in a way that is idealistic for you. And again, actually enjoy it.
And that's why you see people blow up on TikTok and their videos get 40 million views and they're sitting there in their kitchen eating a piece of cheese with no music. And they're just staring and they're just eating a piece of cheese. And it's why did that go viral?
Yeah.
Because so many people
sleeping.
Because people are like, oh my God, I could never, it's too boring. It's like that person just literally wanted to eat cheese and they just we're not saying that's the content strategy, but it's people are so scared to get it wrong that it's almost like they don't do anything at all. Do you see that with a lot of, because creatives, I almost feel like they're so creative. They want to express their soul. They want to do things that feel really good and alive, but they've got this other little conditioned self that comes in. It's like the devil on their shoulder that's but we need to get it right.
Yeah.
And it's there's no way to get creativity right.
Well, it's also because there's a lot of safety in evidence. As humans, we deeply crave evidence, and we find evidence in other people's stories. We find evidence in how other people have done it. And so rather than acting off faith, essentially, faith or faith in yourself, it's easier to just say, well, it worked for that person, so it's going to work for me. You know, so it's like a safety mechanism, right?
Yeah.
We just want to follow the blueprint. We want to follow the rules. And again, going back to what I said, it takes a lot of courage to kind of carve your own path. But the problem is that safety it's like smoke and mirrors, essentially. What we perceive to be safety isn't actually safe, because what a lot of people end up doing is wasting a lot of time and often a lot of money and drawing themselves further and further away from themselves, chasing safety, when the actual safest path would be to get to know themselves.
I love that so much, because when you have that safety and certainty in yourself, it doesn't really matter what's happening.
Exactly.
Like the algorithm is going to change.
Yeah.
The market is going to change. Your business probably going to change. Like literally, let's look at you. Like, and I also want to talk about that really quickly before we go into becoming the coolest person you know. But you went away and built an in-person business, which is totally different from online, right? So what were like the biggest lessons that you learned for the differences? This is like totally a different topic, but like also kind of blends in of like just the learning process that you let yourself evolve, not try to get it right, no rules. It's like, fuck it, I want an in-person studio. Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
What were the main differences that you kind of found with how you felt in each business?
It's really interesting because I quite liked a lot of the work that we did in the studio. It's just that it was a lot of work. And it actually further validated my mission, which is really funny. Like at the time, obviously it felt like a struggle, and it's so different running an in-person business. There's so many expenses that you just don't think about. Like I went from having like, you know, making an insane amount of money with very little cost because it was just basically me and my laptop at home, right?
Yeah, big
working
profit.
whenever I wanted. And because I built like my cheat code to chillpreneur was that like I built it over such a long period of time. I never was like the type of person who's like, let me just work like 10 to 12 hours a day and get, you know, 2 weeks worth of work done in 2 days. I'm like, no, I'll just drag it out. You know, I'm fine with like doing it over, even if it means sacrificing upfront income.
Yeah.
But I had built my business over such a long time that I had gotten to the point where it was extremely fruitful, it was profitable, and I didn't have to do a lot of work. So then to pivot into a business where it's like, you got to drive to the studio and clean it up and then set it up and put up these paper rolls for $200. You know what I mean? It was like it was humbling, but if anything, it was like, no, I loved that experience. I love that now, obviously we did it and we became quite successful. Like we became a top rated podcast on studio on Peerspace. And we hosted some really like incredible events like AFL players and things like that in there. So we did really well even in the short amount of time that we did have it. But it also further cemented my like belief within myself. It's like, I just genuinely don't want to work that hard. You know what I mean? Like
that's something I love about you. So let's explain that. So you have the chillpreneur.
Yeah.
Obviously that's like your coined term. That's what you are really like working on, rebuilding that back up. Like it was always there, but you're just like coming into a different season of what that looks like. Explain what a chillpreneur is.
Again, chillpreneur is a big permission piece. A lot of people work hard. Like a lot of people work hard because they genuinely enjoy it. That's a different thing entirely. I just want to say a lot of people don't work hard because they genuinely enjoy it. A lot of people work way harder than they need to because they feel they have to in order to give themselves permission to feel worthy of their success. You know, a lot of people really struggle to switch off. A lot of people think they aren't worthy of income unless they over-deliver. A lot of people are, again, they have such a chokehold on their business that they feel like the second that they step away, it's all going to crumble. Like I am really lucky in that I just never really had that programming. I actually came into my business with the opposite programming because in 2018, when I was first like really, really growing, Gary Vee was huge, right? And this is when like the hustle messaging was absolutely everywhere. You had to hustle, hustle, hustle. Everyone was talking about how hard you needed to work. Marie Forleo, who was a huge coach at the time, she would record videos about how she like, you know, would, same as Beyonce, like forget to eat, forget to sleep, forget to shower because she was working so hard. And I came into my business and I was like, I just don't really like to work that hard. You know, and again,
that ain't me.
That ain't me. I have so many different things I want to do. I have so many hobbies that I have all the time. Like I genuinely just like, I'm not necessarily the person who can just like push through. Like when I get tired, I get tired. You know, Eric Thomas, this motivational speaker, is like, when you get tired, you quit. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Damn right I do.
And that's fine, you know, but like I came into business with this philosophy of, okay, maybe it's not going to work for me, but then it did, you know what I mean? Over time it did. Like I definitely built my business a lot slower than a lot of other people. A lot of people who started and had the same kind of like potential and were showing up in the same way as me definitely reached like $1 million way before I did. But I was okay with that. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like the type of person who's like, I'm not willing to sacrifice my life now, you know, in the kind of existential way of thinking about it. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. So what's the point in like spending all my time now working for one day? I'd rather just like kind of do half-half, you know, work and make okay money and live an extraordinary life. And so that's what Chillpreneur is. It's like really this permission piece to do it a bit slower, but also to give yourself permission to have fun in the process. And also going back to everything we've spoken about as well, like building a business that you genuinely find fun. Because what I found is that a lot of other people, they don't give themselves permission for it to be easy, like for themselves to get into their genius state and to build a business that's highly aligned to them because they think it has to be hard, because they're programmed to think that success takes sacrifice, success takes discipline. Like my business predominantly is built around me speaking. I jump on calls, I speak. I sit on my bed with a podcast mic, I record a podcast. I sit in front of a camera, I record a YouTube video, I speak. None of that feels like work to me necessarily. Like I would speak to Tegan walking in the street or catching up with a friend on the phone and speak for 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely love to have conversations with people. And so I've built a business where I am primarily doing the thing that I enjoy the most. So a lot of it doesn't feel like work and it takes me less time because it comes naturally to me, right? So Chillpreneur is multifaceted in that way. It's first of all giving yourself permission that you don't have to like spend 15 hours. Because a lot of the times as well, people aren't spending those hours productively. They're
100%.
Finding things to do
They're
to
sitting
feel
there for
worthy.
15 hours a day, but they do like one thing.
Yeah. And they also, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they find ways to make it more difficult so that they can be in alignment with that programming if it needs to be difficult.
So it sounds like from what I'm hearing is you really help people stay in the creative archetype rather than the conditioned competitive archetype. Because like that's what, you know, push, build as quick as you can. And while that's not bad, but like, again, people just love to work sometimes. Yeah. That's fine. I'm a hard worker. Like I fucking love to work and I work a lot. Like I genuinely fucking love it. Same like you, doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
But I would do it even if I wasn't getting paid. Like I genuinely love it that much. And I did do it for years like you did before we even got paid for it. But it's like, from what it sounds like is you help people tap into that, back into that creative archetype where their soul will actually thrive rather than the competitive archetype where it just never feels like it's enough. It always feels out of alignment. It's always pushing shit up a hill. And it's kind of like that's the polarity there of like what you pull people back into alignment with. And if you look at artists, like, again, I just always bring it back to music, but Justin Bieber didn't put something out for fucking, I don't even know how many years, but like years between albums. And they just let that creative process
100%
be.
Yeah.
And then when they bring it out, it's a fucking hit and everyone loves it because they also gave themselves that space to like be missed and have fun.
Or he could have just pumped it out, burnt himself out in the process, which is what a lot of people do. And there's a whole spiritual conversation. I mean, I don't teach spirituality, but like obviously I do practice it in my own life. But there's also a spiritual element to this is like when you are having fun and you are acting from your soul's purpose, if you want to call it that, because you've gotten to know yourself and you've built your business aligned with your like chosen mission, if you want to call it that. But then it genuinely does work more efficiently because of the magnetic nature of the energy that you're operating from. But, you know, as spiritual will say, it's like you're going to manifest faster results just because of that alignment as well.
Yeah, I see it like a spiral. Yeah. So it's like, we were speaking about this on my previous episode. I just had the guest in and we were talking about the spiral where it's like down here we're in fear.
Yeah.
Up here we're in love.
Yeah.
And like, so you help people connect back to that
100%.
Love of creativity, of art, expression, and that type of vibe to come into their business.
Yeah, 100%. Because when you're in that space, you're more magnetic, you show up online. So that like very practical way I could explain this, you create one video from alignment is going to be way more beneficial for your business than 10 where you forced it. Because the 10 people will scroll on. You know, at the end of the day, yes, there's an algorithm that runs social media, but it's still humans behind the screen. And human beings like
humans are the algorithm.
Yeah, they are the algorithm, but they also like radiate on frequency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So content still can be felt. There's a quote that I love from a book. It's by Alex Wolff. It's called Resonate. And it says, you can't make people do things, but you can make people feel things. And when they feel things, they do things. And so that feeling state of content creation comes from when you're in alignment. So yes, you could batch create, pump out 10 pieces of content that AI wrote your script for, get every single line right, but it's not going to be as effective as the piece that is genuinely channeled from your genius.
And humans love to connect with humans. And I feel like so many people are just putting such a big barrier between that. And it is, all the rules come in. So like what I really love is just that permission piece of being like, you can't get it wrong. And something you said at the start, which is really good, is encouraging people to go and find people who are doing it the way they want to, not doing it in a way that is successful.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference, because you will always find evidence of someone being successful in any type of fucking way. Like people like have to shop in a blazer, and it's like, okay, but what about the person over there doing the same thing, looking like wearing a dressing gown on her stories every day? Which one's right or wrong? Like you'll always find evidence for what you look for. So I love that you give people permission to go and take that inspiration and actually actively seek people who are doing it how you would like to feel inspired to do it.
Sure, for sure. It's so funny. One small thing on that. It's like, I always laugh because I want everyone who's listening to like pay attention to this now. Every single time you see someone being like, you know, like educational content is dead, and you like see that like pops up on a reel, and then you'll scroll and the next will be like an educational video with like 25 million views.
Yeah.
I saw one yesterday. It was less like specific to what we're talking about. One yesterday, it was like, if you're still using ManyChat and you have over 50,000 subscribers, you're losing millions. And I'm not even joking. The next video was like, if you're not using ManyChat and you've got more than 20,000 subscribers, you're losing millions. Like it shows like the hysterically comical nature of the fact that like people are speaking extremely confidently and definitively, but it is not truth. It is not
like
fact.
It's their truth, and it's subjective, and that's what truth is.
Yeah.
Like yours isn't right, mine isn't right, theirs isn't right. It's just like that's been the experience, and I think a lot more people need to have that discernment on social media.
Yeah, it's not universal truth.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, and when you know, I mean, that's why I love the creator archetypes model, because it's like that is a model for discernment. It's like, okay, so I am a speaker archetype. Now I can actually go and seek out conscious consumption. I can seek out educational experiences and information that are going to help me become a better speaker. And I can watch people who are out there speaking and creating speaker content. And that's how I can learn versus constantly being swayed by all this contradictory advice.
Yeah, and people love to jump on trends like, you know, the yap video. I mean, I love a good yap. I'm a yapper. I'm like you. I'm a speaker.
You're
I'm
a conversationalist
teacher.
speaker, though, you know, so that's right for you, though, you know.
Yeah, and like I love that. So I'm like doing the yap videos. I've transitioned my content into that. This is a part of like, I've posted like this for so long, and I'm like, I'm just going to give myself fucking permission to do it the way I want to do it, and people are going to catch up. And I mean, it's been working and I've been enjoying it so much more. But like the yap videos are such a huge trend right now.
Yeah.
And then it's like you see it like, if you're not yapping on camera, you're not going to grow your audience. It's like there are still people posting carousels who are getting more views and comments and that. So it's like
there's still cat memes that have 700 million views.
Literally. I love that. Love a good meme. But yeah, like I feel like people are just, they really need to understand that if you can find your way that you operate, your creator archetype, the way that is going to be best suited for you to show up, things will just work so much easier. So how do you best create content? What's yours?
Speaker, for sure. Long form, absolutely. Yeah. So I am a yapper as well. A lot of people have reflected back to me that a lot of the information that I've shared is less in the structured advice that I'm giving in the video, but rather in the side tangent. So I go on a lot of side quests.
Well,
as you see,
that's what you do in your life too. Yeah. You're like side quest this, side quest that.
So it's very natural to me to speak that way. But it's funny because always like the things that land the most have been in those tangents. So YouTube videos, podcasts, and Instagram lives specifically have been the things that I believe have grown my business. Like I'm obviously super creative. I would say that I have almost like an artistic nature as well. So I love a photo shoot. I love making these like music videos as well.
Yeah, every single time. You create a vibe. Like, yeah.
But I would say that's like, you know, the creative agency. And the thing with the creator archetype as well is like you shift and evolve based on context. It's very much an identity piece. I have a client that she was like fully an educator before, and she's come back to me 5 years later and hired me again. And she's like, I took your quiz again and now I'm a speaker. And I was like, oh yeah, like what makes you think that? She's like, oh, you know, I've been doing a lot of public speaking. I'm like, okay, so you've like evolved your skill set and your identity, and now you're resonating with a different way of being. So of course your creative style can change and shift over depending on the context. Like when we were doing Studio Henry full time, my creative agency, I would say I would probably be more on the artistic side of things, right? But coming back in now, I probably would say I'm both. But yeah, speaker definitely, and long form for sure.
Yeah, I can
But on the
definitely
permission
tell that.
piece as well, like I've been a content creator for 10 years. I've been speaking on the internet for 10 years. I cannot do short form content. Like on Instagram, TikTok's okay because you can give like 3 minutes. It's still somewhat of a yap.
Yeah.
You can still go on a side tangent there. But this like short form hook value, I cannot do it. I have tried so many times. It's tanked every single time. So for someone even as like, I teach content creation. I teach personal branding. I have a creative agency. I've done video on the internet. Like there are still things that I absolutely cannot do. And you have to give yourself permission because everyone's saying again, oh my God, that type of content is what performs well. And I've tried it. It doesn't work, So it's just, you've got to give yourself permission to quit things as well. Like try it if it piques your interest. Because of course you would think, well, that's still speaker content. Just doesn't work for me. I need space.
And it's like trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error to just like get it wrong or not get it wrong, but just like do it and then not enjoy it and be like, yeah, it's not really working for me. And then not trying to make like a star fit into a square hole. You know what I'm saying?
And it goes back to fun as well.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between, there's an opportunity for upskilling or an opportunity to break the barrier of fear. That's a different thing. But if there's no fun in it whatsoever, no sustained excitement, it might not be for you and that's okay.
Okay, so we've got to like wrap this up. I have one last question for you. If someone is wanting to become the coolest person that they know, get paid to do cool shit like little side quests, enjoy social media again, all of the vibes, apart from hiring you, how can they start to do that? Put that in action today, listening to this episode. What are they going to start to do?
I've started to develop, they're not fully fleshed out, but I have started to develop somewhat like pillars because I do want to bring this in, not specifically just for content creators and personal brands, but becoming the coolest person you know, having a good relationship with yourself, I just genuinely think is such a good philosophy to live by. First of all, I think everyone should have their own personal life philosophy. You can obviously adopt mine or whatever's important to you, but I just think specifically in today's day and age where we don't even know if half the information we're looking at is true, like having not only core values, but a real strong point of view and a philosophy that you can kind of like critically think through things with, I think is super important. So for me, yes, it is becoming the coolest person you know. It's like how I live my life, essentially. When I'm reading a book to when I'm having a conversation, it is the filtration system that all information is going through, right? But at its core, becoming the coolest person you know is your relationship to self. It's how you see yourself, right? And the pillars of that is like, first of all, there's self-esteem. So self-esteem, I really see it as the story that you're telling yourself about your life and what's possible. So, some would say like self-concept, but your self-esteem is what you believe to be possible for you. And so to build a better sense of self-esteem, you have to have a practice of self-reflection. So you have to be good at reflecting on the things that you've done in life, the challenges that you've overcome, actually sitting and celebrating the wins, actually processing, not just constantly staying in a perpetual state of healing, but actually seeing yourself on the other side of those challenges, right? One of the other pillars being self-confidence, which is different to self-esteem in that self-confidence is going and seeking experiences that is going to help you build the story within yourself that you can go from not being good at something to being good at something. This is where hobbies come into it for me. Like I really, really, really think that I think everyone should have a hobby. Like,
I feel like that's what I'm lacking. So I'm going to be working on that pillar.
Honestly, specifically as an entrepreneur, there's actually a lot of data to show like the correlation between specifically sports-based hobbies and success, because obviously the mentality that comes out of not just like healthy competition, but also progress.
Yeah.
But I truly do believe that like for multiple reasons, like having a hobby is one of the best things that you can do for your self-confidence. If you watch yourself progressing at something, like for me, my biggest hobby, like my number one hobby is Muay Thai, right? I've done Muay Thai for such a long time now that, I recently started a new Muay Thai gym here, and going in there and like just being good at something that's just for me. I don't monetize it. Yeah, I share my journey with Muay Thai online, but like it genuinely just makes me so happy. It makes me feel good about myself. It's so good for my ADHD. Truly is like my Vyvanse. Just get all the energy out. But like it just makes me feel like so genuinely confident about myself that I can do that. But even going and seeking new experiences, like I said, this year I've started skateboarding, and I was really bad when I first started, as most people are when they start anything. And to watch myself this year, I've already achieved my goal with skateboarding. So we're like April. Is it April?
Yep.
Whatever month we're
I'm
in.
like, when is it? I don't know.
My goal this year was to be able to skate like the pump track. It's a certain type of skateboarding track, and I've already been able to do that. Watching myself go from fully barely being able to stand on the board to now doing that confidence then becomes transferable. Because I think to myself, well, if I can learn how to skate, if I can go from not knowing how to do something to knowing how to do it, and I've watched myself and I've got all the videos and all these things, then why couldn't I do something like that in business? Why couldn't I do something like that in any other area of my life, right? So being able to witness yourself progress is where you actually build self-confidence. So that's another part of it. But another pillar is self-trust. Like we have to learn to trust ourselves. And this is the biggest piece that I think comes into entrepreneurship, because we have to learn to trust ourselves. Not only that we'll stick to the things that we say we're going to do. You know, if you say, I'm going to get up and go to the gym. Like, I know you're super into fitness, obviously, like keeping those promises to ourselves, because over time, self-trust is eroded when we continuously, like, quote unquote, let ourselves down. But even more than just like sticking to our rituals, routines, and habits, self-trust is in the, I trust myself to make a decision. You know, again, with all of this influence, with all of these people saying, this is how you should do it, can you get to the point where you say, well, I kind of feel like the best way for me is going to be this. And if you follow that and it either works out or it doesn't matter. The fact that you even just had that experience where you trusted yourself and your inner knowing over everybody else, the more you do that, the more aligned your path is actually going to be.
I fucking love that. I love all three of those pillars. I was like, yes, 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 yes.
And there's one more, but this is the little extra one, self-idolization as well.
Yeah, so you said that a few times.
This is the more fun one.
I love it.
Like that's just like, I mean, the way I always explain it is like, yes, you might inherently love yourself, but do you like yourself? You know, like I think anyone who's maybe got like a challenging relationship with a parent, you know what it's like to love someone and maybe not like them. You know, so it's like, do you genuinely like yourself? Like, do you look at yourself and be like, man, I'm a fucking vibe, you know? Like, have you built your life, architected your life in a way that you genuinely think that you are the coolest person you know or that you are cool?
And when you're not insecure about yourself, you can actually then go out and create and serve.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that that's a pillar of it. So they're 4 pillars. That makes it up. Cool. Yeah. And are you still like building that out? Or is that like,
I mean, they only came to me a few weeks ago.
So you're like, there could be a fifth and it's just not there.
You know, I spent the start of this year building my chillpreneur business model, and that's already changed. This is what I mean. I changed my mind.
Permission. I love this. But
I'm always learning. I'm always changing. I'm always shifting. So I'm just like, everything that I create in life is
fluid,
malleable and
just
fluid.
Like, let it change and evolve. But I think, you know, that's the most dangerous place that people get stuck in, is like they don't let it evolve and they don't let themselves change their mind.
For sure.
You know, of like something that they used to say or thought they wanted or whatever. So I love this. I feel like this episode is so helpful for people who are just needing maybe that courage or that permission, and they can just like borrow it from going and watching you and then, you know, get the courage themselves. So
I have lots to get. I've got lots of energy.
She will give you some energy.
You need energy? I got it.
But that's magnetism, right? It's like you pass that on. You pass your confidence on to other people. And I fucking love that. And I love everything you stand for. So where can everyone find you? How can they get in contact with you or watch you, or what do you got going on?
Come follow me on YouTube, Erin May Henry, because that is my dedication to get back on consistency.
Help me build it.
Yeah, or Erin May Henry on Instagram. I truly love like chatting to people, connecting to people, send me a DM. But like, you know, all the things that I'm doing for the most part are on Instagram, but really like anything that I'm speaking about here today, if that resonated, then YouTube's the place to be.
Amazing. And you will find it on the long form content because she's the queen of it. So go, if you have loved this episode, please make sure that you tag us. Please make sure that you come into the DMs and tell us what you took away from it. If it was a big permission slip or if you really saw yourself in something, we would both love to hear. And please feel free to share with friends. And again, like tag us, leave a review, give us a follow, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for coming.
And become the coolest person you know.
That's it. That's the message. Bye, guys.
Bye.